name on the ballot was going to be generic Mayor X of Minneapolis, I bet that person would lose, okay? Let's start with the fact that I am not generic Mayor X of Minneapolis. For 8 years, people have seen me perform. They've seen me lower crime. They've seen me create jobs. They've seen me do a lot of things for kids, for the environment. They've seen me be a strong, tough manager. They've seen me in the biggest crisis this state has had, you know, in the bridge collapse, everything else, okay? They've seen me perform. Because of that, if you sit down and look at not the speculation but the facts, if you look at polling and everything else, I'm, in fact, the strongest Democrat statewide right now. I have very high name identification and very high approval ratings, and I'm really proud of that. By the way, I have higher approvals even among independents and Democrats, which is a good thing. I'm proud of that. But the reality also is that I'm the mayor of Minneapolis, so I've got to go out around the state and make the case on that. And I have to tell you that until about 3 years ago, I really thought, you know, maybe I'm not the right person to run for this because I'm the mayor of Minneapolis. But I changed a lot when I spent 2 years traveling the state for Obama. And I was the first mayor in the country to endorse him. I built the organization here in Minnesota and went to every part of the state for 2 years. Similar to what I did 4 years earlier for Howard Dean, and similar to what I did 4 years before that for Bill Bradley. So I've been around quite a bit. So there are a lot of folks out there who know my work. But one of the things that I really found is people would come forward to say to me they wanted me to run for governor. And you know, politicians always say people are asking you to run. Well, the reality was people did, and I think that's shown in the polling that I've got a lot of support out there, is they said they want somebody who can connect this state back together. Now let's stop and think about what we've got to do to move this economy forward, all right? We've got to have somebody who can relate on the farm. And by the way, I've been on the stump with all these other wonderful people. They're all really good, but none of them is relating any better than I am there, and I'm doing a really good job doing that. Nobody's too worried about that. But what really needs to happen is we've got to stop thinking about this state as the city, the metro area, greater Minnesota, farm, or, you know, inner city. It's just not like that. You have to think about the fact that Minnesota is what it is because of the connection between all of that, all right? And why is Minneapolis here? Minneapolis is here because of that connection. The only natural waterfall of the Mississippi became a lumber mill capital because all these logs from northern Minnesota came down the Mississippi. Then it became a milling capital, okay? And the milling capital was the milling capital of the world, and then that gave birth to General Mills in Pillsbury, only because Minneapolis was surrounded by all this rich farmland. Duluth became what it is because of the Iron Range. Moorhead, train capital because of the riches of the Red River Valley. I can go on and on and on. The point of it is Minnesota's got to reconnect. So it doesn't need a person from the farm or the city. It needs somebody who can connect all of that together. Example, one of the best things we can do is to have a clean energy economy. We can be the Saudi Arabia of wind. Anybody can stand up and say that, but I've been spending 8 years trying to figure out how to use the buying power of Minneapolis to reconnect that wind in southwestern Minnesota. It's not easy. It's not about that wind farm or this city. It's the connection. Food is one of the most interesting new changes in the economy taking place. 90% of the food in this state is imported, which is absurd considering this is an agricultural state. So we don't necessarily need a person to talk about just the farm or just the market, but connecting those. My wife Megan over there got me onto local food issues a few years ago. We began looking at that, and we developed Homegrown Minneapolis, and we're partnering with scores of farmers and growers throughout the state, because what we need to do is to get that new farm produce into the city. So the point of it all is, yeah, you put me in a coffee shop with any of these candidates and I will do as well, if not better than them, okay? Big city, small town, okay? Number two, the real thing is, it's really about drawing those connections, and I think I'm the guy to do that. And I guess finally, you know, if you look at the data out there in the polls, I'm doing better than anybody else. So that was a nice theory, but it's not working for me. Good.